There's a bit of buzz in the air around Star Citizen right now. A new inventory isn't exactly something to be ecstatic about, but in Star Citizen, it's a definite win. Full-fledged community events with hundreds of players working together are normal in MMOs, but most don't consider Star Citizen an MMO yet, and crafting getting added to any game is going to be a big deal. Star Citizen is coming off a year of record-breaking funding and content, and it's now turning back towards feature development as well to progress towards Star Citizen 1.0's release, all with the hopeful Squadron 42 release this year and a big update coming up next month. There is a lot going on in Star Citizen right now, so let me summarize everything going on into one video for you. Thank you for coming to my Tomato Talk. Let's tackle what's currently going on that has players happy. If you'd like to skip ahead, feel free. I always label my chapters. First up, Clearing the Air, a new game-wide event that has players going out into the sandbox and mining, salvaging, or stealing commodities to aid the efforts of clearing out a contagious sickness in the newest star system, Nyx, one likely started by parties we know. Players can also take defense contracts to help protect NPC haulers in this event and small courier missions, all which pay out credits and points towards permanent unlocks in your account. The event shares rewards amongst party members, so players have been encouraged to group up in parties of anywhere from 5 to 200 players to complete large amounts of contracts together. In my org, GII, we are sharing dozens of missions every several minutes in large groups as we moved more cargo in a day than I had ever seen. While I'm sure future missions are going to be balanced based on the results of this event, this one led to a lot of camaraderie, general happiness in the community, and it reinvigorated morale that the community is a constructive one when it needs to be. But content is actually the co-pilot on this hype train. The inventory tech preview has just occurred this week, giving a closed group a first look at the new UI, and I can tell you, it's more than just a fresh coat of paint. The concept images from last year are completely spot on with what we're getting in the game, but functionality takes a huge step up as well. It's more responsive and faster to load. You can stack all, move all, filter, search, split, and loot containers within a 3-meter radius of yourself, passing items between different inventories and managing as many as you need at any time. It's not perfect, but it's such a massive improvement over anything we've ever had in the game that it's enough to get excited about. This would have been one of the defining additions to the game in previous years, and it's a good sign of what's to come with crafting. Speaking of which, that's also been in the tech preview. And while it has further to go than inventory, it was a joy to use the system and see some notable results in my crafting. Mainly, I crafted different FPS weapons using different quality aluminums on the barrel, and I saw notable changes in their rounds per minute and their recoil statistics. This is going to allow all minables and harvestables in the entire game to have their own quality value levels that will drive players to find the best in order to craft the best items, invigorating mining, salvaging, looting, hunting, and exploration. It'll be the beginning of the player economy and the true economic loop in the game, though there's a long way to go before we are building bases and crafting spaceships. This first light version is going to let us craft FPS weapons, armor, and small components, but it's still, I think, going to make a big difference in how we value what we find, and it could possibly be arriving with the inventory in Alpha 4.7 next month. Now, in the meantime, I can't miss virtual reality. A surprise experimental edition at the end of 2025, VR has taken a lot of folks by storm and has highlighted Star Citizen in the VR community. With continued development, it could be one of the best places to experience the tech, and with already another update to the functionality in 4.6, it looks like it's going to be an active part of the game's development going forward. This might be a niche one, but it is a pretty big highlight of how Star Citizen is maturing right now. But no matter how much it matures, there's always a new ship. This week, it's a medium-sized salvaging ship, which should be joined by 2 late additions to 4.6, new industrial contracts. This new ship is going to be great, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. First, these new salvaging contracts are going to call for you to do more than just power wash the ship hull. You'll now be tasked with actually getting out of your ship and grabbing some components off of these ships that you're salvaging. You're going to have to turn them in, and you're going to have to find the wrecks yourself, meaning more exploration and scanning to figure out what you need to find in order to get what the mission is asking for, rather than just following a beacon. The mining missions are even more interesting. You're tasked with finding commodities out in the verse wherever you know they can be found and turning it in. But when you turn it in, you can keep whatever extra you collect, while also making some good progress with the mining factions. These missions round out what is already a really good quarter one of the year, and I didn't touch half of it. But let's talk about what's coming next. Next month, things are only heating up. As I said, crafting in the inventory very well may be coming in 4.7, but that's not all. We already know the rock cracker stations are being added in with Nyx's second asteroid belt. These stations are like gigantic Hathor V2, but in space. You'll be tasked with restarting these derelict space stations with your crew, moving around power, fabricating parts, inserting batteries, and mining some valuables on the interior. FPS combat will also play a secondary activity for those on the ground, but once the station is fired up, the responsibility is back with those in ships looking to scrape up the valuables inside. So while there is a little combat here, this is really an industrial op at its core. Though who knows what might show up to stop you. I'm sure there'll be some more details coming in to share how much potential booty is in there and how we can run the stations without other players showing up. We also have new locations coming to Nyx as well in the form of new social-themed space stations. These will be controlled by the People's Alliance and will likely play some part in the ongoing narrative this year. Hopefully they are at least a little bit different from what we have in Stanton and Pyro. We've also seen talk of ice caves recently. This picture from the latest monthly report does say ice cave, but very well could be from the rock cracker facilities and would make a lot more sense there, considering all the infrastructure. Now, while it's not been confirmed for 4.7, social tools are a high priority for the company this year, and the CTO recently confirmed that they have a 4-stage rollout planned for the whole suite, starting with simple chat and voice comms changes. Will we see this in 4.7? I don't know, but even if we don't, I think we could see it showing up in a tech preview test by the end of March. But I'm extremely bullish on social changes, so take that with a grain of salt. Following this first update, we'll also see looking for group changes and org tools coming in, so it's an exciting next few updates regardless of when it all starts. And all this is before we talk about those ships, which I know you love. And we've actually seen some clear signs that the deliveries are getting more diversified from just combat, and they're coming faster. Just this week, as I mentioned before, we've finally gotten our medium-sized salvager the industrialists have been begging for. Yeah, it's another variant and it has its drawbacks, but the industrial gameplay is expanding in ships, features, missions, and locations all at the same time. It's a good time. The Hermes just released to hit a new spot in the lineup for cargo hauling, around 250 to 300 SCU, which doesn't fit cleanly into many ships before it. Also, with its drawbacks, it is another nice use of an existing chassis. Although CIG made the decision to not let this ship use the Apollo paints because supposedly they're different, which is ridiculous. The Hull B is almost here as well, landing another major cargo hauling addition in a year when we're seeing interstellar cargo hauling contracts, narratives around cargo hauling, and external freight services for larger scale missions in zero-G environments. The Drake Iron Chad is also coming. This massive hauler is actually unique in that a large portion of the roof opens up for easy large-scale logistics. Industrial crews are going to have a good time with the detachable command module and the large amount of utility this brings when it releases later this year. And hot on its heels, the Gattac Raylan is expected this year as well, but still in white box, it does look like it'll be later in the year. If they can get it complete for Alien Week in June of 2026, that would be a huge sign that the ship pipeline has truly exploded in speed, and it'd be a good sign for the backlog. Keep an eye out. While the current situation is looking pretty nice with new features, ships, and tech coming online in the next month or two, let me show you quickly what else is planned for the entire year and why the winning streak may continue. First of all, what's good to know is everything from CitizenCon last year has been confirmed to still be planned for this year. So the Tactical Strike Group fleet battle missions, the Planet Tech and new planets landing in Nyx, the instanced Siege of Orison, the Levski Underground known as the Municipal Works, and the Vandul. Alongside this, server meshing is obviously expanding functionality to include instancing. This will be a sort of dynamic server meshing that allows for instances to be spun up as needed and nested within servers to provide seamless transitions in and out of game spaces like how your hangar currently works, but hopefully more stable. Progress in server meshing could also mean expanded shard populations too. Keep an eye out for that one. Persistence improvements also are expected to make big progress this year. This is the big one to watch that will connect everything else and make the game feel more satisfying to play when you find things and know they're actually yours. Item recovery tier 1 should be coming sometime after crafting, allowing players to lose and recover any loot in the game, but also registering our items so we can easily recover them back home because they truly do belong to us. A major step forward in ownership loss and in things mattering that will matter much more when CIG can get their persistence problems figured out. This is something the CTO was adamant about on camera as a priority and has detailed their solution to making sure anything you find or earn remains yours for good. Keep an eye out for his follow-up in the fall to see if they've fixed their problems. Starchitect is also actually expected this year, surprisingly. This is a big initiative from the company to build settlements, outposts, buildings, really anything building related, based on rule sets similar to how Planet Tech works. No, not necessarily soil type, but geology, your resources nearby, and other variables are going to define the types of buildings, the factions that own them, the levels of disrepair, and more game-wide to create mission locations and points of interest for us to find. But they've made some big claims around this system, so we'll wait to see just how far they can go and if it still does make it this year like they said. Population management and control is also going to be a big part of that. So the new Planet Tech, the location tech based on that known as Starchitect, and the population control technology they're working on that fills those locations are all being built in lockstep for a release in Nyx later this year. This could be a great improvement to the PlanetSide experience in Star Citizen, alongside more localized gameplay and contracts and the ability to pick up contracts in person. Finally, the creature pipeline is coming together, and we're seeing more beasties appear throughout the game as sources of danger and as crafting materials. This has helped add more life to the game and more variety to combat strategies, but I do think there's still a lot of work to be done on animal logic, their movement around the game, and the variety in the creatures we're seeing. All of this is sounding really good, especially with the looming launch of Squadron 42 we're all hoping for. And what I've talked about here is only what we know about. If there's anything CIG's proven in the last year, it's that they actually are starting to hold things back to surprise us with more content. We don't know where the storyline's going this year, so we'll see just how much more entertainment we have waiting for us. Now, it's best not to assume everything's going to go as planned and that there will be delays somewhere. There always are. But CIG seems to be building well off the momentum from last year, which was a success. And at least right now, they seem to be on a winning streak heading into Q2. 2026 is genuinely the strongest start to Star Citizen I think I have ever seen in a year. Real features, real progress, actual momentum, from inventory and crafting to ships and events. For the first time I can remember, the company is delivering features, content fixes, and big tech across subsequent updates, all while players still have moderate stability. It's almost too good. But not all is perfect. Exploits have ransacked the economy, leading to a lot of players losing the motivation to progress. Desync is always an issue causing players in any gameplay. The flight model is still not squared away, leading to a lack of confidence in a lot of players. And we still deal with a lot of outdated systems and tech that just introduces a ton of jank into your everyday gameplay, holding the game back. Don't take this all as a sign that Star Citizen has finally made it. More so, take this as a sign that CIG has possibly figured out how to. And Squadron 42 is still a big question mark this year. It could be a huge bucket of cold water on the fire, or it could be fuel. Either way, it's starting to look like Star Citizen might actually soon live on its own regardless. And if you'd like to keep track of if and how that does happen, I've got you covered right here every weekend on Space Tomato 2, my second channel, almost every day. Thanks to my patrons for making this possible. If you'd like to support what we do here, you can become one too and get live podcast access, behind the scenes, the great feeling that you've made this possible for us, and at higher levels, your referral code on our referral code randomizer under every video. Whatever you do choose, thank you for watching until the end. I hope you learned something new in this video, and I'll catch you in the next.